One day, one of these ministers from Andhra Pradesh government, one of the states in India, he came to see Baba and he bowed down, he took his darshan and he left an envelope at his feet. Baba asked him what was there in that envelope. And he says, Baba, I had taken a vow that if some particular work of mine is accomplished, I would offer you this money. Baba said, I don't need money, I don't touch money except when I give it to the poor people. And I don't need money. Take it. This man said, Baba, I had taken a vow, how should I not offer it to you? Baba said, in that case, keep it with you as my property. And when I need it, I'll send for it. I'll ask you to give it to me. And he, after a while, he left. An hour later, Carmen Masi walks in, the grandmother. And poor thing, she used to get money, say 1 rupee, 2 rupees, 3 rupees, from people who used to visit her, from Dadachandji family, very closely known, very closely knitted friends. Arnavaz, Nargesh, her sister, Rhoda, another sister. So she used to make them into a composite note. Because she didn't want to collect coins like that. So one day after 1 hour from the time this man departed, she walked in and she embraced Baba, and without anybody noticing, she is giving an envelope with that 5 rupee note, a very small note, smallest of the small notes. She slips it into Baba's hands, and Baba also took it without any reservations. He quietly put it in his pocket. And I am told that later on he gave that envelope to Mani, Baba's sister, and said, this is a very valuable thing, please keep it in a safekeeping. And Carmen Masi's gift, although it was in the form of money, he did accept. So that was Baba's kind of greatness towards his disciples who had abundance of love towards him. Another incident also, when I remember in my case, of course I have not seen those things happening, but my parents and my grandmother both had told me. Once, because I was a 1 year old, and due to a doctor's mistake in administering me a dose over a sickness, a small sickness, I had passed away, it seems, medically gone completely. The doctor had given certificate, the entire neighborhood had collected in my house, and people were running helter-skelter what to do. Some people were trying to arrange for the hair span, which takes over the body. And suddenly Carmen Masi lifted me, and we had this big photograph of Baba, big photograph. We used to keep Baba's worn out slippers, which he had given, chappals, which he had given to Carmen Masi, put some flowers on it daily. And between the two slippers was lit a lamp of oil constantly, from morning till evening, from night. So she lifted me at Baba's photo and said, Baba, this is the child you gave to me. This is the child you gave him your name, and you are taking him away. She said this, she broke down and put me back there. And one of the people who had assembled for help and the neighborhood I'm talking about, they said that why don't we take a second doctor's opinion? So another doctor was called. He came down and he also looked in my eyes, felt the pulse and all. He said, there's nothing left. But all the same, he said, if you are in doubts, heat some water, he said. And in a small plastic bowl, big bowl, the heated water, hot water was kept, and I was placed inside this. That is after the second doctor came, after my grandmother appealing to Merwan. I was placed in that tub, and much to the surprise of others, I just turned a little bit and made a small sound. So this was another time when Baba responded to the petition of Carmen Masi, to the request of Carmen Masi, a call from her. And my mother, even today, when she's angry with me, she says, you cannot be my son. My son is already gone. It is in order to satisfy your grandmother, Baba has brought some other stray soul and dumped into your body. So that always she goes on scolding me. So this was one occasion. There are several things like that. In case of Pleader also, I will tell you. Pleader was on fast for 5 years, silence for 5 years, and on fast also, yes, for 5 years, just milk and fruits. And he was sent by Baba to visit his mother and brother and sister. 3 of them out of 6 had died, and 2-3 were still alive. When he went to his house, he was not speaking. And he inquired. Suddenly his sister poured out and she said, look, you have gone to Meher Baba and this neighborhood Parsis, they were terribly anti-Meher, against Meher Baba. He was considered as anti-Zoroastrianism by them. The orthodoxy, the fundamentalist kind of Zoroastrians, Parsis particularly. They are abusing the mother and they are taunting her day in and day out, persecuting her. That look, now her son has gone to Meher Baba, that is Pleader. So all the miseries will be over, they will be rolling in wealth, and all the nice things will happen to them. This is how they go on pinpricking them. So Pleader, whenever he narrated this incident, he did like this. In a gesture of remorse or atonement, he said, why had I to say this? So he took his sister to the doors of those tenants and they were open, and he asked the sister to call them out. And he wrote down on a piece of paper and told his sister to read out. He said, hereafter, if you persecute my family members on account of Meher Baba, in the name of Meher Baba, then there will be a series of death in your family. He gave them a very stiff curse. And he went. Now, Pleader had gone through a rigorous spiritual disciplinary process at the hands of Meher Baba, and this thing had come out after that kind of suffering. So Baba himself came down to Pleader's house, at the back of Pleader. He never informed Pleader. And he asked his sister, who's that tenant I am told is persecuting you in my name? So she immediately said, that room, you see, in that room, those are the tenants. So Baba deliberately took Pleader's mother from the waist and another side Pleader's sister from the waist. And he walked past. And he stood in front of the door, looking inside. So instead of those people coming out and begging forgiveness, they went on passing further unwelcoming remarks. Baba came back to Pleader's house and he did like this later, and he told them also, he did like this. It's their misfortune that I have come to their doorsteps to forgive them. And instead of asking for forgiveness, this is what they have done. He went away. Baba knew very well that the curses are going to come to him. And therefore he had come. In a few months from that time, within 1 month's time, as Pleader had said, that you will see deaths taking place in the month. First, the husband died, that woman who was constantly speaking all obnoxious things. Her husband died. He was not old, he was earning, breadwinner. Then on the 10th day of the husband, the son-in-law of that woman died, a very young boy. And before the month was completed, even the lady's son also died. All the three males died. The son died on account of an accident where a truck's tire got punctured and the rim flew and opened his skull off. That kind of thing. Very, very cruel death it was. And Pleader always remembered that way. So Baba had gone all the way to forgive those people, and they were destined to face this, so they did not ask for forgiveness. So that was the greatness of Meher Baba, and thereafter about his disciples also. Later on, Pleader's mother died. On the 4th day of the death, Baba tells him that, look, a message has come. Your mother has passed away 4 days back. So why don't you go and pay a visit to your family, your brothers and sisters. Brother and sister. Only one brother and one sister had survived. And sister almost had lost her head. And later on she was in a lunatic asylum for 60 years of her life. After Pleader, it was my parents and particularly my mother. And later on, I used to go and pay her frequent visits at Pune Lunatic Asylum, where she was kept in a parcel in women's female ward. So he asked Pleader to go and pay a visit to them. Pleader was on silence. Pleader said, what am I going to do going over there? Now the 4th day is also gone. But she was your mother. What happened to my mother in the previous birth, Baba? I am not shedding tears for her anymore. And the mother before that. Or the sister, or the wife, or the husband, whichever way it was. So this is another mother gone. I am out here before you with a specific purpose. You tell me in order to fulfill that or accomplish that. If I have to do something, I'll do it. Baba said, all the same, I give you until tonight. Tomorrow morning I'll come and seek your answer, whether you are going or not. Think over it and don't cry at all. Don't shed tears. Baba went. Next morning, early morning, Baba comes. And Merwan was cordoned by barbed wire fencing. And there were heavy dew drops collected there on them. Baba saw Pleader and he removed the water of dew drops on his finger like this from the barbed wires and sprinkled it. And he said, you have cried the whole night. And that is why all this water is here. He further on to it. Pleader laughed it off. He said that no, I have not cried. Baba said, now it is my order that you visit the family and come back. The order means he went and he came back. Now an interesting story I want to tell you. At the end of his life out. See, in 45 or so he must have come to Bombay. And he used to stay as a paying guest in different Parsi houses. If it was very expensive, he would stay for some time. So, in about around 1945 or so, he came down to Bombay. I'm not too sure about the year, but somewhere in that vicinity. He was staying as paying guest in certain Parsi families, with certain Parsi families. And whole day he used to come because
Think those around.
So Pleader was in Bombay from 1945, and he was staying as a paying guest in some of the Parsi families, which is switched over from time to time depending on the lesser expensive accommodation that you would come across. And whole day he used to come and stay at our house. Night he would go. Baba had ordered my father to look after him and his needs. So he used to have his meals, and a lot of people used to come to our house to listen to him about Meher Baba, and some of the very strong and powerful workers who ran this Baba Center in Bombay in later years were the people whom Pleader had inspired about Meher Baba. I was as a child looking at and hearing all the Baba stories through him over the years till I grew up to 16 when Pleader passed away. Two things we were observing were that gradually a acute pain started developing in the region of the kidney, which he used to call as kidney pain, but it had nothing to do with the kidney. When Baba, I think, had told some of the people, I think it was Nariman or somebody, to get him checked up with topmost doctors in Bombay. They found the kidneys in good shape and there was nothing else also wrong. Everything was functional, and later on when this was informed to Baba, Baba told Pleader that I have given you this pain and you will take it along with you to your graves. But the worst kind of pain that he suffered was the agony that he wanted God realization, and he did not get so far in spite of doing all these things. And he was very apprehensive because some of Baba's circulars contained a shrouded message that his work was nearing completion. And that scared him in the sense that if Baba were to leave the scene after finishing his work, what will happen to his getting God realization at his hands? And for that, he once took a 28 days fast, which he did on his own. And fast means he stopped eating food, he did not take milk, did not take fruits, nothing except he thrived on water. He thrived on water for 28 days. As if to suggest to Baba that I will fast unto death if you don't fulfill your promise. And Baba somehow prevailed upon him. He had lost his weight and he had become like skin and bone. One of his photographs is also there after this breaking of fast. Baba made him to break the fast and later on. So whilst in this agony, I used to see him as a child. He used to do like this and he used to speak out alone also. He used to say, Baba, when are you going to do it? Baba, when will you be freeing me? And there were times, I remember, he suffered in the meantime a coronary thrombosis attack, which is far more dangerous than a heart attack because a thrombus comes in one of the veins in your heart, and the flow of blood would stop immediately and you might pass off. But that kind of thing had not happened. It was detected to be coronary thrombosis attack. Twice he had those attacks. He passed off. But thereafter he was strictly not allowed to climb higher floors. And we never had any elevators. We were staying on a third floor at Tardar in Bombay. So he had to climb those floors, and whilst returning home he had to go down 3 stories and again climb 2 stories at a place, and once it was 4 stories at Baikala where he was staying. So 4 and 3, 7 floors in a day. The doctors advised him against climbing even 1 floor. And that is how he was ordered to stay in our house. And Baba wanted my father to keep him there. Now, Baba work was going on in full swing by Pleader, talking to people, And Baba sometimes used to send a list out and ask him to call those people over on particular days or daily if they can, at particular times, and read out God Speaks, because Baba knew he understood God Speaks thoroughly well. So Pleader went on doing that work, and as long as he was not doing physical climbing or anything of that kind, heavy exertion, it was allowed of him. Sometimes in his agony, I remember, he used to feel so much put off that he used to go to places which we in Bombay used to call liquor joints, which served very cheap country liquor, not harmful as it is today, but then he used to go to Parsis who were running it, and to drown his sorrow, at times, not regularly, he used to go and drink there. And my parents used to tell me to quietly go after him, stay on where he is, and when he comes down, if he is not keeping well, if he is not in a proper position, bring him home safely. So my parents used to send me behind him, and when he came, I waited at the foot of the steps where the liquor joints were up on the second floor or something, in our locality only, a couple of buildings away. When he came down and he saw me spying, when Pleader saw me spying, when I was caught spying on him, he used to call me near and he used to open his little wallet, small, and remove a 2 and a coin and give it to me as some sort of a bribe to keep my mouth shut. Don't tell your mommy and daddy I was here. He used to come holding my finger back home. Sometimes when Baba came later on to Bombay, to Ashiana for darshan at Nariman's house, he sent for Pleader. Pleader went to him. And Baba stopped people from taking darshan, closeted himself, he, Ears and Pleader was there. So when Pleader returned from there, we asked him as to what transpired. He said, I told Baba everything, that I am having this agony of purpose, and I told him, I admitted to him that Baba, I have started drinking to drown my sorrow, and with folded hands I asked for his forgiveness, to which Baba immediately reacted and he caressed his cheeks and he said, he did like this and said, you are talking like that, you are my heart. You have passed out. It's not the same. So that was that. Then we had a saint called Kamu Baba. Many people still know him and remember him. He looks like Sai Baba, and he was a presumed or he was a folk plain saint. And he was very generous and kind-hearted. In Bombay, on the outskirts, Goregaon. And he used to use his power for good purposes, yes, but then again that was not correct according to Baba. There was this Kilach and industrialist house, which is still there. That family, at that time, they didn't have any child to look after their empire after they were gone. So Kamu Baba blessed them with a child. Somebody else would come to inquire about a lost brother. So Kamu Baba was using his powers to grant favors to some of them who found certain things, essential things in their lives missing. Now once Kamu Baba conveyed to Meher Baba through one of his disciples that a desire to meet Baba. And Baba, of all the people, had asked Pleader to visit Kamu Baba and tell him to stop what he was doing. You do that, and thereafter I will see when to meet you. I will decide. So, whenever it came to certain very critical and responsible work, used to impress Pleader. And he had this famous thing he used to tell him, that give him a sugar-coated pill. Once Pleader also was sent to stay in the cave at Panchgani for months together. And the night before Pleader was to go and stay there in that cave, Baba stayed the full night. And he told Pleader to go and stay there. But before that, this order was given when Baba was on one of his visits to Bombay, Kashi, and he had sent for him and he told Ayers to go out and ask Rao Sahib, Kakashu Afsari, to come into the room for interpreting what Baba was saying. Now Baba knew best why he did this. He told Pleader that when you go to the cave, you will have to, in the night, make it pitch dark. So much dark it should be that even a star's light should not enter the cave. It was a small cave, about, shall I say, I've seen it umpteen times. And it was about, say, 7 feet by 5 feet or 6 feet at the most. And he said, he told Afsari to interpret his board. Yes, it was a board. What was it signed? I'm not too sure. But he said, interpret this and tell Pleader, given these couplets which I am going to tell you. And Pleader was told to recite it in the pitch dark environment, but before he could gesture, Baba looked up at Afsari, Rao Sahib, and he told him that you don't try to narrate this mantra or shlokas, couplet, which I am giving to Pleader. It is for his that dose is for him. If you say it on the quiet, Baba did like this, that you will go. And so finally Afsari narrated what Baba gestured, and Pleader was told to recite it, which he did over the months of his stay over there. And he was to live only on milk and fruits. Villagers used to come up in the night, they used to sing Baba's bhajans and all. Pleader used to prepare tea for them, and by 12 o'clock they used to go back to the villages in the valley. Once or twice I happened to witness that thing, and on the mountain it was all quiet, so in order to reach me to our house which we had taken on hire in Panchgani town, one of the farmers used to carry me on the shoulders. I was sitting here with his blanket covering my body, and they used to come and leave me. So that's how Pleader went on. Another thing was that whilst in Merwan, Pleader was mostly looking after must ashram. Just a minute. There is some pointed thing here. He was looking after the musts. And amongst them there were docile, there were very fiery musts also, few of them. But there was one, I don't remember his name. That must, whenever Baba used to come to Merwan, to the must ashram, he used to sing and dance, and full of uncontrollable joy, he used to run over the tree, from branch to branch he used to dance, jump about, and all merry. And Baba's orders to Pleader constantly were that never beat a must like this even. And Pleader never used to do, and musts were affectionate towards him according to him. One day, Baba told him that he showed him a particular spot, and he said that see that none of the musts create nuisance there. That is making it dirty in any fashion, which they normally didn't used to do. It so happened that after Baba cautioning him, one of that must which I described little while ago, that he was joyful when Baba came, he started going there and spitting there. Once or twice, Pleader was unmindful and he cleaned it and he just told him, don't do it again and again. This fellow increased the frequency and went on spitting over there and tried to provoke Pleader. And this must used to call Baba Badi Sarkar. In other words, big boss. So Pleader went to that must and he told him, look, you have broken but the boss's order a dozen times. I'll break it once. Thereby meaning it, I'll beat you. And immediately this fellow goes and spits again. Let me see what you are going to do, as if to say this. Pleader went to him and quietly, slowly, he just twisted his arm a little bit. And that was it. This fellow became suddenly serious, morose, held his hand as if something gross damage was done to it. Sitting in a corner, Baba came. He had stopped dancing, jumping, no nothing, not even a smile on the face. That was so very striking to attract Baba's attention. Baba said, why is he like that? Has anything happened? Why is he so sad? Pleader said, Baba, he was creating nuisance over there and he broke your order 10 times. Alright, what did you do? He said, I twisted his arm a little, thereby warning him that he should not do. No, you are a butcher, Baba told him straight. You are a butcher. And this hit Pleader very badly in the heart. Baba, you broke my order, that was important. That breaking my order was something I would have taken care of. You should not have surrendered to anger. And Pleader became a little bit sad. And he was not himself and he was constantly feeling hurt. One day Baba felt that change in him also. Baba asked him, what are you thinking these days? You are not yourself. So Pleader folded his hands and bowed down to Baba and said, Baba, like an old servant who has served his master over the years, goes to ask him to retirement from work. I have come to you to allow me to go back. And Baba did not comment either way, whether he should go or not. He said in that case, because Baba knew what he was doing, which we have realized now after Pleader's going away and series of incidents that led to the finality of his visit in this birth. Baba said, in that case, you will make all the musts in the must ashram to perform a play of Raja Gobija, of which a mention has been made in several books on Meher Baba and like that. And after that, you give me a promise that you will go to Mehrabad first, and then you will go to Bombay or wherever you feel like. Pleader said yes. And Baba caught his hand and said, this time, don't be angry. They will do their worst to provoke you. And mind you, I'm going to invite some top officials of the government to witness this play. There will be a judge also from the court. So be careful. He did like this, that I should not cut a sorry figure. Pleader went on with his work of Raja book. He said, one man show. One of the books says that he was the only director of the play. And somebody, Aga Baidul, was just assisting in small works. The musts did everything and made umpteen attempts to provoke Pleader. When we used to prepare them, giving them bath and putting on costume or whatever, they started spitting in his face now. They used to do like this. When a dialogue was being tutored to them by Pleader, slowly, softly, affectionately, petting, they would deliberately speak it the other way about, which has the opposite meaning. Antar padne se used to say in Hindi. So these people, that particular master used to say ulta padne se, which has got the totally opposite meaning. All sorts of provocations were there, but ultimately, when it came to screening of the play, screening means the performance of the play on the stage, on the last day, final, the Mas were in charge of the play, not Pleader. And they carried it out magnificently, and as Baba would put it, to the entire satisfaction of Baba. After the play was over and the thunderous applause was there, and the curtain was being brought down, this is what I've heard directly Pleader telling us. And many of the people, very few among them are still alive. So Baba stopped the curtain from coming down by gesturing. He went up on the stage and he told Pleader that this is the universal stage. I had to perform certain work spiritually, which I did through these masks. And it went on successfully. And here I am embracing you. And the first time ever Baba embraced me. And he said that this significance you will come to know at an appropriate time. So after that, but one thing Pleader slipped out was that, as promised, he did not come to Merwan. From there he straight away came to Bombay. And then if I were to put you back, his thrombosis attack was after that event, not before that. And he was staying with us, all sorts of things. The pain went on increasing, he could not go out, he could not go down. And daily in my house, about 25-30 people used to converse and look at him, and there was one day it so happened, I was very young. I must have been 1960, so almost 16 years. To be very precise, 15 years and February, 11 months. Because I am 15th March 1944. I triggered off a telegram in the form of a big letter for which somebody else paid from the group of Baba lovers who came to Baba through Pleader. And I wrote to Baba a little angry telegram and I said, look, what is it he has not done? He has carried out this order of yours, that order of yours, that is done, this is done. He lost all his material things also, like parents. And you have not yet relieved him, let alone spiritually. At least his kidney pain you could have relieved him from. To that pat came Baba's telegraphic reply to me, saying that Pleader is fortunate to suffer a fraction of my infinite suffering. Without mincing a single word or spelling or letter, I have communicated this message. He said, Pleader is fortunate to suffer a fraction of my infinite suffering. Letter follows. And the letter did follow, which I have shown it to various people and to the gentleman who is filming me right now also. You see? He is not seeing, but I will show him after this is done. I brought it in. Handwritten by Haynes, in which very caringly, like a father writing to his son, he says that I know everything. He has addressed the letter to my parents to be read out to Pleader, and he said, I know everything. Do exactly as I tell you in the letter. And now this letter, he says. In that he says, take 3 tablets a day of Equanil tablets, 400 mg. It's his own handwriting. And Baba's quotes were into inverted commas. This substance was in that. And he said, take it for 4 days, and if you do not feel better, then come down and stay with me at Pimpalgaon, which is now Merazat. It was known as Pimpalgaon. Stay with me at Pimpalgaon. And he subsequently addressed a letter. In the same letter he said, And now to you, dear Sarosh, that's my father, and Kaushal, mother. They are both alive. One is 93, father, and mother is 87. Said that I have instructed Pleader to take this kind of medicine with this frequency, and even if he doesn't feel better after taking the course for medication for 4 days, he can put in a train in first class along with a suitable companion who will come to Ahmednagar, to Merazar, to hand him over to me and go. Then again he makes urge to, he says that Baba's message to all those who visit Pleader daily and see him writhing in pain and misery, not to feel upset, but leave it to his will divine, he says. Yours lovingly, yours. And again in the PS, Baba remembers something, so he asked Sayers to add, which he did. Please inform me by a wire, he says, that is telling of his arrival in case he chooses to come after 4 days after medication, so that we can make arrangements for an ambulance or a car to be sent to the railway station, Ahmednagar, and to bring him to me. Subsequently, again a second paragraph is added, that if he doesn't feel better after taking it, and if the pain continues, even after 1 day, and ask him to pack off and start off immediately, bring him to me. Because Pleader was advised against walking or even getting up for toilet purposes by the doctors attending on him. Very, very big doctors. And when they were contacted, they said that no, his condition is very fragile, very brittle. He is not going to withstand the journey. No way. But all the same, it was Baba's order, so we had to take him, and we did take him. And instead of one companion, at least half a dozen of us, or even more than that, had taken Pleader by the Don Manmar passenger, where the bogie is removed, detached from a train going in a particular direction and attached to another train going towards Ahmednagar. An hour before Ahmednagar, reaching Ahmednagar, my mother shouted at one of the stations, asking people to come back, mentioning names of Ratilal, Gulabdas and all. See, something has gone wrong, she said. I did not go because I was a child, and the fear was that in this thing, commotion, I might be left behind on the platform, or playfully I may not come back to the train. So those people ran to the compartment, first compartment. We were all in second class, he was in first class, and my mother had an attendance ticket. So she was not charged for first class, although travelling back. They went and they saw that they shook Pleader, they opened his eyes. He appeared to have gone already. Oh my God, what is to be done now? But as Baba wanted him, he told him on the day one, that are you prepared to endure the suffering of 3 lives? Baba did not want him to come again. As exactly as Pleader has requested on his first encounter with Baba. So Pleader was gone, and the elders told my mother that don't mention anything to anybody, otherwise there will be a problem with the police. No, we will hand him over as Baba has asked. Hand him over. So we will hand him over the way he is to Baba and leave it to Baba what is to be done. But much to our surprise, as we reached Ahmednagar, Pleader was back. We had not gone, we had not left. And Baba's arrangements were so meticulous, so precise, that the trolley on which, the stretcher on which he was kept, it was slid into the ambulance directly without disturbing Pleader physically at all. And we also came by another car, some in the same ambulance. We reached Merazar now, which was Pimple Down then. And when we reached in Pulgaon, Baba was waiting to receive me. Baba was out first. In Merazad, where Mandali room is, outside the Mandali room, there's this arrangement for water pot, drinking water, can is there. Just near that, he was brought out and kept on a trolley, and Baba came near him. Baba was on the other side of the trolley, I was here, and some of us were here. Nobody stood by the side of Baba except Haynes. Yeah, I think Haynes. Baba put his hand on Pleader's chest gently and he said, "How are you?" So, Pleader did not reply, but straight looking into Baba's eyes. Just freedom, what he said. Only Pleader could enjoy, and I have never heard of anybody doing that kind of a thing. He said, "Baba, either fulfill your promise," he did this, "or give up your divine claim of being God. I have heard it, I have seen this happening." And instantaneously, as if in reflex action, Baba stretched his hand, he gestured like this, and reiterated his promise by clapping his hand into Pleader's and said, "You will see me keeping my promise. But remember, you had promised me years back that after performing Raja Gopichand play, you would go back to Mehrabad before going to Bombay, which you did not. And I don't want you to come back to fulfill that promise and take a birth just for that. Now that you have come here, I will send you to Mehrabad later. I have already dug up your grave, and you will see me fulfilling my promise. Now that you have fulfilled you will be fulfilling your promise." And Pleader could have passed away in Mehrabad and Baba could have made arrangements, but he wanted him to go back to Mehrabad to keep his promise, Pleader's promise. After that, Pleader was placed in his room, and the immediate room near Mandali Hall at Mehrabad today. We were all asked to come into the Mandali Hall. Baba sat on the sofa where we bow down these days. And first of all, Baba looked at me and he gestured like this. "You sent me a very beautiful telegram, come here." And he said that if I did not suffer, in your letter you said, that you are capable of diving into the ocean of bliss, why would you suffer? You can come out of it anytime you wanted. So if I did not suffer, why would I call it suffering? Why am I in human form? To suffer the way humans do, for you people. And then he opened my button of the shirt and he said, "Shall I beat you?" And he took a little stick and gently did this. And he kissed me, he made me to kiss his cheeks, which I did, and I was full of tears. But I would not go. I said, "Baba, is he going to live or is he going to die?" I was very much attached to Pleader also, the way others were. Baba did not reply. And he went on looking at me. I said, "Baba, I won't go unless you reply." So Baba caught his sadra, his cloak, and his daman, as he says, and he did like this, thereby communicating that he will drop his body, he will go. I went. Then Baba asked everybody to have their meals and go back to Bombay, same day, no staying anywhere. Only 2 people were retained back. He didn't want any persons who had sentimental or, as we call it, attachment of Maya to remain back in his last moments. Totally unattached people were to stay back. One of them was Shapur Parekh, his friend over the years from his younger days, and my father's eldest brother, Homi, to look after his needs as a patient. After we had gone, what I am going to tell you now is the part of the eyewitness experiences of Pleader's last moments with Baba and thereafter. Baba goes inside the Mandali Hall and he talks to his Mandali people, says, shall we relieve him tomorrow? Should Pleader go tomorrow? Or what have you to say? Alopa became sentimental and he said, Baba, he has been our long associate. We don't want, tomorrow is your birthday, we don't want to shed a tear because of it. We'll miss it. Baba said, all right, the day after that. Now Baba's birthday is 25th February, we all know. If you see his tombstone, it mentions died 26th February 1960. He is resting there and it is written there. So I don't, it was 24th itself or 25th morning. Baba asks him to be brought out again. The car or the ambulance, whichever way it was ready and told. And Baba goes near Pleader and says that you are going to Merwan, that promised path. And he said, there you will see me fulfilling my promise. So this time Pleader, knowing fully well that it was his last visit, it was his last talk with Baba. So he said, Baba, will you come to put me 6 feet down? And Baba never used to go before that near a dead body. That's what we hear. Baba said no. He said, I'll put you within me. He did like this. Shapu tells us. But your body, that I will put 6 feet down in it. This is. And then he was packed off to Merwan. He was brought here before that Bauji's room. Bau was asked to vacate, which Bau himself has confirmed in one of his talks here. And Pleader was placed in that room. 25th passed by. 26th also passed by. And in the evening at 6:45, that time, mind you, Merabad was hardly anything, any structure. And if you passed by an auto and if you missed it, you would not know where you were. So you have to be very attentive watching for Merabad. Such a small little establishment it was. And the electricity was so dim, a zero power bulb also would go dim with the lesser voltage supply. At 6:45, Pleader shouts, which Bau also heard, light, he said. And then he started laughing. Now these two were in constant attendance of Pleader under Baba's order. Shapur Parekh and Homi, my uncle. So Homi would dare not go near Pleader, but Shapur went near him and he said, where is this light, Baba? This is hardly any light, zero power bulb. So he laughed and he told Shapur, did like this and he told him, tomorrow Mer Baba is coming here. And tell him many, many things. He did like this. And the man who once told Baba, a couple of days ago, before, either you fulfill your promise or you give up your divine claim of being God. This man, when asked by Shapur, but has Baba fulfilled his promise? He said, yes. And off he went. No more staying here. He shut his eyes and passed off. We all received a telegram and we broke down very badly. Even now I feel choked to remember that day. 10 o'clock we received a telegram from Iraj saying, Iraj it was written Iraj. Pleader passed away peacefully at 7. Funeral to take place tomorrow. So we took a night train and immediately came down. By 7 we were here. That full night, Baba had ordered Kekobar Dastur, whose daughters are staying near the Samadhi, near Baba's cage, that seclusion room. Today, Jalu and Guru. Their father was told, Kekobar Dastur, to stay near Pleader's body whole night and recite prayers from Zoroastrian scriptures. He was a priest by profession, right from earlier days, which Kekobar Dastur did this, the priest. We had arrived by 7, we saw him, most of us crying. But Pleader, mind you, looked totally different. A fresh face as against the face in agony like this. No swellings on the face, gone completely. And bright face was there. Minutes behind us came Baba's cavalry. Baba came by car, immediately walked up to the place where Gustaji was already lying there, and next to that was a hole dug up for Pleader. Baba comes there, coffin was laid by the side of that under the tree, and the lid was just shut, covered, not nailed. Baba did like this to open it up. Baba looked at Pleader for some time very seriously, and then he smiled, and he constantly looked at us, and 3, 4, 5 times he must have done this to suggest that Pleader is free. He is free. He is free, like that. And then he raised his hands towards sky and made us all recite, all that those who were assembled there, to recite the 2 prayers of Baba, O Parvardigar and the repentance prayer. I was there physically present there, and I also went through that. All were crying profusely. And Baba went right through the prayer like this, till the end. After it was over, he said, close the coffin. It was nailed, and Baba helped in lowering the body of Pleader. As he had promised, I'll put you 6 feet down. After that, Baba took some mud from the ground, the dust, and he emptied it. And he asked us to do that. Then he went straight to the Mandali hall here at Merwan. And to all those who were crying, he showed his chappals, his slippers, that I'll throw it at you. On a day of his rejoicing and happiness, I don't want anybody to shed tears of mourning. It's a day of rejoicing for you. He is free. That's all. So this was the first and the only person amongst Baba's disciples to have confirmed that yes, he has kept his promise and that he gave him God realization. So that was, and thereafter Baba told Kishore, the secretary of Bombay Center, who also passed away very recently, very recently, he told him to call a meeting of going on. So Baba asked Kishore, the secretary of Bombay Center, to call, who was very close to Pleader, the closest to Pleader, whom Pleader groomed up to be a speaker. Baba asked Kishore, he gave him a list of people who were very close to Pleader, to call a meeting of those people and make Shapur and Homi, who were attending to Pleader in his last moments, till his last moments, to narrate the full episode at the fag end of his life, where he confirmed about Baba keeping his promise and he receiving the God realization to those individuals, and those individuals should write separately to Meher Baba confirming that yes, they have been told a first-hand report on all these things, which they did. And Baba again writes in confirmation to Kishore that yes, I have received the confirmatory letter from each and everybody I mentioned in my list. This was Baba's functioning and it was carried out. But a very significant thing in Pleader's life and in Baba's work also, I could dare say, is left out by me, which I should tell you. Once Baba had given him a list, 10 scrolls. Each scroll contained a list of circles, circle 1, circle 2, circle 3, circle 4, likewise running up to circle 10. 12 people in each circle, and he gave it handwritten in his own hands, and each one was signed in Baba's name. Baba signed it. This was given to Pleader, and Baba kept reminding him 3-4 times at the time of giving that don't make a mistake, don't show it to anybody. Nobody should see it. That's all he said. Remember, don't show it to anybody. So Pleader quietly hid it somewhere in Mehrabad where nobody could see it. And but even during his stay in our house, he used to keep it in a trunk, and he used to keep it under lock and key. And when he was on his deathbed, at that time also that key was under his pillow. Nobody could dare open it. Now the day he was given this list of circles, Baba, and after Baba had gone, Pleader has written that list, those 10 scrolls. So slowly, all the musts, regardless of their temperament and whatever, even if they were docile or whether they were the firebrands, they slowly started coming near Pleader and surrounding him. One of them told him in Hindi, "Oh, badi sarkar ne chitti diya ho dekha. Show me that paper that the big boss has given to you." They didn't say circle list or anything. They said, "We want to see it." And he looked straight into his eyes. Pleader said, "I have not been given any paper or anything." They started beating him. All of them pounced on him and beat him so badly that his entire hand, right from this thumb till ear, turned into blue. And Pleader told them, "Wait." And he said, "It is the boss's order for me not to show it to anybody. You want me to break it? Tell me." So it is at that they stopped. Now, in his weaker moment, Pleader at once, he was very close to Baidul. Baidul used to visit him, Gustaji used to visit him, Rao Sahib used to visit him at our place whenever they were in Bombay. Of course, Rao Sahib was always in Bombay, and thrice a month he used to come. So Baidul was there, and Baidul insisted on Pleader that, "Don't show me, but at least tell me where I am." So Pleader told him, "You are in the third circle," which he had seen. Baidul said, "Third circle? Why Baba had to keep me all the way in third circle? How many times will I have to come?" And he started rolling up his sleeves to Baba. Of course, in all humbleness. He told Baba, "I'll bang my head against the wall and end myself. You change this, he said. And Baba said, "Even if you were to die, I can't have it. But this thing is finalized and it can never be altered." Baba told him flatly. But when Pleader went through the circles list, he didn't find his name anywhere. And he told Baba, asked him later, "Have you seen this?" He said, "Yes. But I am nowhere. I am not even mentioned in the last circle." Baba said, "You will not be mentioned in any of the circles. Because when my universal manifestation takes place, you shall be my chargeman. And Araj will come down to assist you." Araj was already a God-realized person according to Mayor Baba, which he had told once Pendu also in a closeted meeting between the two. And Araj was made to go past by Pendu, and Pendu was made to do this, which he did, looking at Araj very much stunned. So Pleader was told that you will be my chargeman, and Araj will come and assist you. Now, different people might draw different inferences. I am not competent to interpret what it meant. So I leave it to your wisdoms, or it is best left to Baba's wisdom and scheme of things. But significantly enough, this statement of Baba about judgment and universal manifestation, I could, in my own limited sense, link it to Raja Gopichand's play. When the curtain was drawn, I told you a little while ago, Baba stopped it from pulling it down, and he said, "This is the universal stage, and here I am addressing you, and you will know its significance at an appropriate time." So, this is where and how Pleader's life was.
So you tell a few stories about you before the tape went out.
Okay.
Or that.
Sometimes Baba was very confident about Pleader's dedication and attachment to Meher Baba. So he was not worried about Pleader drifting away at all. So sometimes he used to send Pleader to Baba's house. And Pleader used to tell with great joy particular story about Babajan. He said that morning Babajan used to call me. And there was this Tonga. Tonga is a horse cart carriage pulled by a single horse. And that man used to live on that, transporting passengers to station from various places or from one place to another. It's kind of a taxi, drawn by a horse. So this fellow used to come with his Tonga and Babajan used to hop in. And Babajan had a habit of taking nothing but 32 cups of tea during the day. She would hardly eat anything, but wherever she went, people knew Babajan as a saint. And they used to offer her.
Maybe a little more.
And Babajan used to go to whole day from one place to another. This fellow was not allowed to do his business. And one day Pleader, after the day was done, and Babajan was brought back to her place of rest, Pleader told Babajan, Babajan, aren't you depriving him of his bread? He has no time to earn. Now it is almost night. And where will he have his meals coming from? Babajan looked at him, laughed, and she said, you don't know whom you are talking about. This man had she used the word Sultanate. You know, we say Sultanate of Oman. Sultanate is the kingdom. She said, this man was a king. He had a kingdom of his own. Would he care for 2 square meals? And she said this in Hindi. Of course, she was talking in Hindi only. So the fellow who was drawing the carriage, he also could understand what she was saying. And he told Pleader that every day after I leave her, I get 1 or 2 such passengers that compensate my earning right for the whole day. And I have never gone to bed without food. Babajan has always blessed me with. So Babajan used to smile and see, this kind of experiences were there. Once Upasini Maharaj's place, Sapori Baba sent him to. And he was performing a yagna. Yagna is a ceremony where a pond of sort of fortified thing is kept, in which, you know how we perform dhuni over here. Likewise, a fire is lit, but it's in a very ritualistic way. It is called yagna, to invoke certain gods, which they do today also. If there is no rain coming at the right time, they invoke the spirit of rain. So, Upasini Maharaj was about doing it, and Pleader comes in. Upasini Maharaj called him over and said, welcome, you've come at the right time. This is your fire temple, Parsi. I am your head priest, lighting the fire. And when I do that, the gates of heaven will open for your generation that has gone ahead of you, your forefathers above. You don't know what ceremony I am about to perform. And he performed the yagna. So that was Upasini Maharaj. Then these are a few things that I can tell you. Mas were very much happy on him. Once we had all gone to Rao Sahib's place in Lonavala, which is a hill station between Bombay and Pune. It's a beautiful spot. We were staying there, and there was this must who was standing in front of the house of Rao Sahib, where Pleader was also there, having his holiday along with him. And he was singing, and he said, in his singing, he used to communicate a little message. He sang, this translation would mean, your sweetheart's letter is going to come, and I know you are going to leave everything and run away to her. Her, he said, run away to her. And the same thing he used to sing for the week that we stayed there and suddenly vanished. It was time that we returned to Bombay. When we returned to Bombay, the same must in Bombay was standing in front of our house where Pleader stayed. And then the call of Baba had come. The letter had come for Pleader to come to Merwan. And one of his visits. And this man was already shouting, "See, your sweetheart's letter has come. And now you will be packing off. And now you will be running. Go, don't waste your time." All sorts of outbursts he was giving up. Those kind of things really did happen. And all of them were really great and eminent souls. I could speak of only these two because I have grown in their lab and I have heard stories straight from them. But there were people like Baidul, Padri and others. I remember of Baidul also one story that Baidul had kept his very young, handsome son. He had a son and a daughter to the best of my knowledge. Daughter is still alive, Sarwa. Son was placed in the hands of his own brother, Baidul's brother, to be looked after and cared for. But if fanatic and lunatic Irani that Baidul's brother was, one day over some quarrel, he beat the little boy to death and disposed of his body also without informing the brother, that is the father of the child. And the minute the message came over here, Baba had sent for Baidul to his brother and told him not to even argue with him. Just ask for the boy's personal belongings like clothes or slippers or whatever. From a distance, the way he asked Harman Masi to do to somebody, he asked Baidul also to bow down to him in reverence and come back, he said. Baidul did just the same thing, without wishing him ill. Within his mind or even on the lips, he never wished him anything evil. And he came down early. So sometimes, on one occasion, Pleader remembered that some people ridiculed Baidul. Baidul had hardly anything here. But obedience, dedication, love for Baba, too much. Everything was here. So somebody tried to ridicule Baidul over some incident or the other, and Baba did not like it. So in front of the entire Mandali, Baba told them, "Come here. Do you know Baidul, the one whom you are trying to ridicule? If I asked him to jump from the 4th floor of a building, he will not ask me why. He will ask me from which window you want me to jump. And he will jump. Would you do that? Intelligent person. He is an idiot. You are an intelligent person. Tell me, would you do that? We'll give it a try in both the cases." And that's what Aga Baidul was. Baba had his own gestures. Shall I talk about it? Yeah. His own gestures also, shortcuts for calling, asking for people. For instance, Baidul had big eyes like marbles. Big, deep set of course, but bigger. His eyes were definitely big. And marbles that they look like. So Baba used to signal like this, marble. When he wanted Baidul, he would not spell B-A-I-D-U-L. All that he will not do. Then for Pleader, tall, Parsi. For Padri, it was this only. He's a tall man. When he did this, he showed the thread that Parsis put on. So, tall Parsi. And who else was it? Dr. Nilkant, Nilu. Doctors, he used to call them barbers. They don't understand anything. They just... So he used to do like this for Nilkant. But Dr. William Donkin also was there. Which doctor took also? William Donkin, a Westerner. This and the hat. For an Englishman. These kinds of things were there. And certain other also remarkable things were there. As a child I have seen that times out of, not once or twice, but times out of number, when Eraj was interpreting Baba's gesture, his back was to Baba. He was not looking at the gestures actually in that sense. And Baba used to go on doing it, and Neeraj used to speak, as if to suggest that Neeraj opened his mouth and Baba spoke. That kind of thing. So all these things were happening. Pleader used to tell us that to you people, Baba is doing, I am so pleased, I am happy to meet you, did that. But with us it was a discipline. 5 o'clock, kind of a small dhuni was being lit. Baba used to sit in front of it. You must have seen in one of the recorded films also, with his head covered with a white cloth. He used to sit in front of that. 5 o'clock in the morning, the arti would start. And regardless of the climatic or weather conditions, you have to take a cold water bath in the shivering cold, if it is so, and be present in his presence exactly at 5 when the arti would start. 50-60 people. After the arti is over, people used to walk past Meher Baba, put their heads on his feet, and as they got up, Baba used to embrace them. But those who had come 5 minutes or 3 minutes late, halfway through the arti, the moment he lifted his head, Baba would bang his hands on his ears, like this, vibrating as they used to put it. And they used to turn red. And then he used to do like this. What time did you have? And after that, the embrace, the prasad was there. So those were the measures of discipline that Meher Baba had. This is all for the moment that I can recollect, and hope to give you some more later.